What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back again with another live stream for you people. Brian Daigle's just getting himself ready. Don't worry about that. Let's not mention it. Let's not concentrate on it. How are we doing, Brian? He's in the building. We've got a massive game on Sunday against Manchester United in what is a very pivotal game for our season and the way things are going. And it's one of the most interesting games for us of the season in terms of debuts being made, in terms of players coming back from injury. But first of all, Brian, lovely to have you back again helping us with the videos. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very, very good, my man. I'm doing very good. I hope everyone else is. Just bracing ourselves for a very big snowstorm this evening. So got to get lots of things done before it comes in. But apart from that, it's almost game day and we're all good.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it's a very exciting game this weekend. I know Man United away is usually not a very happy hunting ground for Tottenham. But look, this weekend there's a lot of reasons to be positive. Before we get into the match preview with all the, how we think the game's going to go, we do have a Tottenham update to give you and to, go through, give all the latest news that has been going on with Tottenham over the last 24 hours or so. So, without further ado, let's get into that and let's see what is going on with Tottenham on the news front. We'll start off with some injury updates. And Ange Postecoglou has been talking in his press conference about team news going into the game on Sunday. He confirms that Ben Davies is set to be out for at least a month or so with a hamstring injury. Unfortunately as well, he confirmed Giovanni Lo Celso has picked up the hamstring injury, and his time frame, shockingly, is going to be a similar time frame to Ben Davies as well, which is very worrying considering we thought it was a minor issue, and we were hoping he'd be back within a game, but he's set to be out for about a month, which doesn't bode well for Lo Celso given his previous injury problems that he's had. And then interestingly, he said with Lo Celso it's a complicated issue which they have to get to the bottom of, which is an interesting comment for him to say when it comes to Lo Celso. In regards to Cuti Romero, there are rumours he was going to be fit for this game, but Ange Postecoglou was quoted as saying, the only one to join the main group today is Romero. He's just started training, but it's fair to say it might be a bit close this weekend. So hasn't completely ruled him out, but is suggesting probably not going to see Romero returning just yet this weekend. But when it comes to Lo Celso, the news about Lo Celso and Romero, what's your reaction to it? Lo Celso a month out again, Brian. It's very frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, the Lo Celso one. Listen, what I will say, the injuries we're picking up seem to be hamstrings, and speaking to a few people that are Celtic fans said, you know what, this is exactly what happened to us with Ange Postecoglou until they got up to his fitness standards. Then this stopped. So you look at it now, and I don't know if you mentioned as well, Scarlett seems to have done the same thing.
Scarlett, yeah.
He was fine at Ipswich. He's come and started this training, and his hamstring has flared up as well. So I think this is a lot with getting to Ange's peak physical condition that we need him to be. And once, apparently, with the Celtic fans from what I'm hearing, once they got there, this very, very rarely happened. But now, very quickly on Romero, I've got a funny feeling this could be do you remember Human Sun with Jose Mourinho when we won 6-1? Where he wasn't going to even be in the team, and then all of a sudden there he popped. I have a little feeling that'll be it, but I'd rather he be fit for Man City anyway. Gio Lo Celso, it definitely needs to be looked into, doesn't it? This just continuously happens when it comes to Gio, with other managers as well, not just here with Ange Postecoglou. And it's a huge concern because, as we've said, his ability is there for all to see, as well as his ability to stay, or inconsistency to stay fit, is there for all to see, and it's an issue.
It's a very big issue, and it's something that's plagued him, throughout his time at Tottenham, isn't it? And it's it's probably the biggest issue when it comes to him being a success at this football club, is getting him on the pitch. That's been the number one problem. And yet again, even this season, I remember earlier in the season, he picked up an injury. I think it was just before one of the international breaks, out of nowhere it seemed. He picked up an injury at half-time in the Fulham Carabao Cup game, didn't he?
Yeah.
He started that game, picked up an injury. We didn't see him again for about a month. And then it was, wasn't that long ago. It was after, I think, the City game. He picked up an injury and was was missing for maybe one game and then returned. And now again, he's picked up another injury in training, it seems, and could be set to miss about a month out. And thankfully, look, Kulusevski's proven he can play in midfield. So in terms of selection, it's not like the biggest issue. It would be a bit of an issue if maybe we didn't have that option with Kulusevski and Maddison remained out. Maybe we'd be a bit more worried about who's going to play in midfield. But thankfully, Kulusevski's really stepped up in that role. So I assume, Sunday he'll fill in there. But Lo Celso himself, I mean, it's probably going to be the thing that is going to stop us maybe him having a future here, because he's been really playing really well this season when on the pitch, and I've been really impressed with his performances. He's been getting back to the level that we were hoping he would, but it's just those injuries rear its ugly head again. It's very, very frustrating, and it seems something that he can't shake. It just hasn't been able to shake. And even Postecoglou implying, he said it's a complicated issue that we have to get to the bottom of. So even he seems to be getting a bit frustrated with it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. But the other thing to look at is another great reason why we got Werner in, because now Werner can stay on the left, which means Johnson stays on his strongest position, which means Kulusevski can drop there and help out till Maddison go back. So we've got the options. This is the thing with Gio Lo Celso. He's been very, very good when he has played this season. But how can Ange prepare for the FA Cup or prepare for an assault on getting top four and maybe more if he can't forecast when his players are going to be fit or not? You can't plan to say, right, Gio, I need you fit for this game, or he's going to be pivotal there, because you just don't know when he's going to pick up an injury. And this was before Ange as well. So it's not just Ange's training techniques, which may be an issue with whatever Conte was doing and then a different style of training coming in. But thankfully, we've got options up there with the likes of Werner now. But yeah, with Ange Postecoglou, how can a man possibly predict or plan ahead if you've got one player who can be no doubt a match winner on the pitch if you just can't rely when he's going to be available?
Yeah, that's the frustrating thing. In terms of Romero, you reckon it's a case of Ange, you said before, you reckon it could be a case of Ange definitely playing the cards close to his chest with Romero in terms of him being available. We'll talk about Dragusin in a minute, but we'll stick on Romero and about whether we'll think he'll play on Sunday. Obviously, we already saw like the likes of Bentancur came back and played after being injured unexpectedly, started against Bournemouth and played 60 minutes and kind of got thrown in with a plan of being taken off after an hour. The Spurs website, interestingly, said that Romero remains one of the long-term absentees. So when they reported on the Team News, the website, they didn't mention that he was back in training. Now in the press conference, Ange is confirming he's back in training, but the weekend could, he said, come a little too early for him. When it comes to whether if Romero is if it is true that he's only come back in training today, with Van de Ven as well hasn't returned yet from injury in terms of minutes on the pitch, is it a bit of a risk to start two players coming back from injury together rather than maybe one who's fresher like a Dragusin?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this yesterday, didn't we? And I said I think it's better to have a Dragusin on and bring a Romero on if available. If needed, putting the two together again after both coming back from long-term injuries, or not so much long-term with Romero. I think it's a risk. I personally I'd rather have Romero fit a lot fitter and safer, ready for the Manchester City FA Cup game than this league game by a country mile. I want him to be assured to have a lot more fitness and availability for Manchester City rather than Man U.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, the implication at the moment is that Romero won't play on Sunday, but as you say, he could easily be playing his cards close to his chest. So I think it's a case of wait and see on Sunday and wait for 3:30 and when the lineups come out, because we could definitely be in for a surprise. He was talking about Radu Dragusin, Ange Postecoglou. He's been speaking about him in his press conference, and he said, Ange Postecoglou said on his work permit, said, from what I'm told, his work permit shouldn't be a problem. If all the relevant paperwork comes in, then he'll be in the squad. He was talking about the fact that Dragusin rejected Bayern Munich as well, and he said first we talked about the signing. He said we knew that that was a priority position for us in the window. We knew that if the right opportunity came up in January, we would move. We did a fair bit of work on it, and once we knew the direction we were going in, Johan and his team did a lot of background work on him. And after my chats with him, I could tell he would fit in perfectly. And also on his rejection of Bayern Munich, said, I don't try to sell anything. It's just a conversation about what I believe and my thoughts on them as a player and where they'd fit in. Part of the key is that they want to come to this football club, and I'm not going to bend their arm. And Jack Pitbrook as well confirming that Dragusin only made his mind up once he and his agent were on their way to the airport, which was when he informed Bayern that he wouldn't be joining them. So it clearly was a one that really went down to the wire in terms of decision making. But what is your opinion on what he's been saying on Dragusin? Clearly, again, when he's saying, he's not going to try and sell anything, he's all about having conversations. We've heard that before, with the Maddison deal and things like that. So it's clearly a case of Postecoglou winning over Dragusin, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I heard from someone today that I was speaking to. Apparently, Lange had a hell of a lot to do with this this deal. He is all over this one. I thought he would be more embarked on Summer, the speed game, but apparently Lange had a hell of a lot to do with getting this over the line. So fair play to him. I've loved what I've heard from, not so much from his agent, but from Radu himself. It's wonderful things to hear, isn't it? It sounds like he had his mind made up from the get-go. He went with his heart and his gut, and it's things you really want to hear. I think the paperwork will get done. I think the paperwork will get done as in for his work permit and his visa to be able to play. And I'm very excited to see what this young guy can do.
Yeah, and it will be a case if Romero isn't ready that he's definitely going to be thrown in the deep end. And as a young defender, it's going to be a challenge. I know Man United aren't having the best of times at the moment, but it's still going to be a very difficult game. And Højlund is a very physical striker if he's the one who is picked up front for Man United. So he's not going to have an easy ride. But I think he's the kind of character who's going to relish that challenge. He seems like the kind of guy who can't wait to be put under the spotlight and can't wait to get going. The only worry is he'll only have one training session, which is today, to kind of get acclimatized to how Spurs want to play and how he's going to fit in. So is that too much information, in one training session to kind of get chucked straight in? Is it even a case of would Emerson, be a better fit to start this game just because he knows the system, or we've seen already with Van der Ven, he chucked him in straight in with little training sessions. So do you think he will?
I think he will chuck him in. I think he'll chuck him in. These players, when they come in, hopefully, obviously he's been playing regularly and well for Genoa. That's why we've gone and got him. So his fitness isn't going to be an issue. Obviously, he has a difference completely in style of play. And if he can take that information on board, got to remember as well, Manchester United, that place is going to be bouncing because Ratcliffe's going to be there. Their new money is coming, so it's going to be that kind of atmosphere when we went to Newcastle when they had their first game with the new owners and we burst their bubble, and hopefully we can do this one. And again, Emerson, I think, is another one that can come off the bench if Romero doesn't. I don't expect Dragusin to last the full 90 minutes if he does start, but we'll see what he can do. But I do think he starts.
Yeah, that's another good point, fitness-wise as well. Genoa play a very different way of playing than Spurs, and the centre-backs have to do a bit more work, I feel like, for Tottenham than they do for Genoa in terms of just how much ground they have to cover and all that kind of thing, because they play such a high line and they're going to have to be dragged and cover a lot of space, whereas Genoa, he plays in a back three and he's always got support around him and he's not going to be left vulnerable in one-on-one situations as much. So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of... how he reacts to that and how he copes with the extra bit of workload. And we've seen already players pick up injuries. Even Van der Ven picked up an injury as well. So hopefully he'll be all right. Talking about another new signing, Timo Werner, and Postecoglou was talking about him in his press conference as well, and he said, I thought it was a really good opportunity. I had a good chat with Johan about it, and I felt Timo would be a really good fit for us. So really good quotes there from Ange Postecoglou and Timo Werner. I'm really intrigued. I do think he's going to start on Sunday because of our lack of options in the forward line. And I'm so intrigued about how he is going to get on because we know at his very best he can be devastating if he plays in a system that plays to his strengths, and in a new environment, a place like Spurs where we play fast-paced football, and hopefully he's going to get chances. I think it's such an intriguing signing to see how he's get on, and I think Ange just put it perfectly. It's a really good opportunity, and I think that's the best way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, also I love the video that Spurs released where it showed Ange welcoming him onto the training pitch, and for them to welcome him in. I think he starts. I think he scores tomorrow. I really do. I think that the potential pace we'll have on that pitch is absolutely terrifying for any team. I think he comes on and sets the ground running. I think he's definitely going to feature heavily. I think this is also going to help Kulusevski, isn't it? Like we said, we've got a position for Kulusevski now with Lo Celso being out. So with him starting, it's going to be a good battle to see down the right or down Manchester United's right or left, and I think it's one he's going to win.
Yeah, and looking at the training sessions, in his first training session, I think it was yesterday, he definitely does seem to be training on the left-hand side, doesn't he? There was a bit of a question mark, is he brought in to play up front or on the left? I think it was mostly the consensus was it probably is on the left while Son is away at least anyway. That's where he'll be playing, and that's definitely apparent. By how he started off in training. So I can't wait to see him in action on Sunday. I really hope he has a good start to life. And obviously with Man United being one of the teams who are very interested in him, it's going to be very interesting to see how it'll be poetic if he gets off to a great start against them and gets a goal contribution or has a really good game and maybe show Man United what they're missing by not getting him. So can't wait to see him back in the lineup on Sunday. Some other relevant transfer news now to talk about the Athletics. Matt Woosie talking about Ollie Skip, and he says Crystal Palace admire Tottenham midfielder Ollie Skip, but he's not expected to be available for loan this month. Now, a lot of the talk has been about Højbjerg leaving, but do you think there is a possibility that maybe if we're getting more interest from Skip, that he's the one who leaves and gets replaced by Conor Gallagher in terms of the homegrown status kind of thing?
With this one, Simon, I can see why Palace would be interesting. I think it'd do very well at Palace. I think this is all waiting. There's always that transfer where one domino falls and then it sets it all off. I think this midfield for us is set around one of these two going. I think if one of them goes, it's still Højbjerg. But if Skip comes with us, if Gallagher becomes available, and it's going to be easier to get the Palace deal done for Skip to get him out and then bring Gallagher in, then I think we'll go that way. But I think if there is one to go out the two, it's still Højbjerg. That's my not preferred one to leave, but I think the favourite out of those two that will leave.
Yeah, I think you're right, but it'll be interesting to see if there is genuine interest in Skip and we're struggling to get rid of Højbjerg, whether we consider those offers for Skip and decide to keep Højbjerg instead. I think that's maybe one that will develop later in the window. And lastly, we're going to be talking about Conor Gallagher again, which, is a story that just doesn't seem to go away. The Athletic are reporting that Conor Gallagher was close to joining Tottenham during the summer transfer window. The club were and remain seriously interested in signing him. Chelsea are not currently in talks to extend his contract and would sell him for around £45 million. And Ben Jacobs comments on the story saying, Conor Gallagher is not actively for sale, but Chelsea would likely accept a guaranteed fee of around £45 million and an overall package of around 55 to 60 million. Tottenham are now expected to focus on signing a central midfielder and are yet to discount a move for Gallagher. However, they did not want to pay above 35 million in the summer. I mean, 35 million obviously is very cheap for someone like Gallagher in this current market. We're never going to get him for that price. But again, multiple sources claiming Chelsea are still willing to sell Gallagher for around that 45 million fee. For me, I just have question marks whether Gallagher has a willingness to come to Spurs, whether he really wants that move, and I think that might be one of the sticking points when it comes to getting this deal over the line. But it is a story that doesn't seem to go away, and when you're looking at that price point for a player who's 23 years of age and would really fit our system perfectly, is it one that is, do you reckon there's any chance this one can get done before the end of the window?
As I said, Simon, I before thought that this is just agency talk, trying to get him a bit more money with all the new players at Chelsea that are coming in would have surpassed his wages. But as you keep saying, it's the story that just won't go away, will it? It doesn't matter how many times, it always comes back to this one. Whether Chelsea would deal with us, whether he would want to leave Chelsea to come to us, is up in the air. A lot of people like him. I loved him at Crystal Palace. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the whole Chelsea thing that it's not for me. I really don't know. But if he came, I'd support him. I just don't know. I think this one is a summer one again. I just can't see it unless there's something that materialises right at the death. I can't see it happening. But if it does, it does. But like you said, it just will not go away.
Yeah, it's probably one that if it does happen, it will be a late deal near the end of the window. I don't see Tottenham parting with a significant fee like that without trying to get the best price possible. And that is going to happen only, at the end of January. So again, it will depend on where Gallagher and Chelsea stand. If maybe Chelsea sell different players. I know Ian Maatsen has left the club. He's on loan to Dortmund. So I don't know what their position is when it comes to how much they need the money. Maybe a surprise bid for a different player of theirs will come in and they won't have that need to sell Gallagher. But if they are struggling to sell and maybe they need to bring a striker in, then they might have to be a fall guy and it might have to be Gallagher. And if that is the case, then I think Spurs should definitely be there ready and waiting to pounce, because I think it's clear that Ange would want him. But again, is it a player who really wants to come to Spurs? And I think Ange does care about these things. Is he a player is he a player being forced out and being left with no option but to come, or is it a player who really wants to be here and is desperate to join Tottenham?
Well, the other way I look at this as well is if Chelsea, again, lose to Middlesbrough in the next round or the second leg of the Carabao Cup and they're out of the final, does Poch get fired? Does they then say, right, that's it, we're not taking any bids till a new manager comes in? There's so many moving parts to this. So many moving parts. I've said before that if we're going to go English, I'd rather we went for Morgan Gibbs-White. I think that guy's got more versatility. That would be the one I'd really want for. That's definitely not getting done. But you never know what's going on with Chelsea, do you? Because they could be, like you said, at the end of the window and just want to get money. Should Middlesbrough knock them out? Is that the final nail in the coffin for Pochettino? Would Chelsea then want to deal whilst they're waiting for a new manager, or a new manager, if they have one immediately, want to sell him? There's so many moving parts to this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess, again, a case of wait and see. I guess any updates, we will keep you updated, be sure of that. But that is it for today's Tottenham update. Let me know in the comment section below of anything we discussed in the update and all your thoughts. But without further ado, we will be getting into the Tottenham update. Before we do, into the match preview. Before we do that, let's look at a few comments in the comment section. Navi says Skip really shouldn't waste another minute on the bench. If he can get a Prem move, he should grab it and flourish. Do you reckon there's any element of it of Skip wanting to leave? Do you think?
From what the reports are saying, he doesn't want to leave. He wants to fight for his place. But I'm kind of with, what was the name of the person that put the comment in?
Navi.
Navi, I'm kind of with Navi. Surely you want some first team football now. At his age, you want regular first team football. Don't know if it would be as a loan to Palace and come back, or a straight deal. Who knows what would happen? But if I was Skippy, I'd want to go and get some minutes if you want to establish yourself. So I think he should, but we'll have to wait and see.
Stay Humble says, I think my nan will grow wheels before Chelsea and Tottenham do business. So he's very sceptical about the deal. I think it's fair to say. I think that's fair to say. What other comments have we got here? Uto Kia Lounge says, I'd rather hear about Gallagher than hear about the Sancho saga constantly. Yeah, you're probably not wrong about that. Stay Crow says, I would swap Skip and 30 million for Eze. I mean,
all day long. All day long.
I'd 100% do that. Ryan Isaacs says, this Daigle guy is doing my head in with his positivity.
Listen, there's positivity to be had at the moment, mate. I've even seen you doing it as well. You just don't come on camera and do it.
I see. Is Ryan hiding his positivity? Is that what we're saying?
He's in the closet with his hiding. Yeah, he's in the closet.
Is he a closet pappy clapper? Is that what we're saying?
Oh, you said that, not me. You said that, not me.
I'm asking the question. I know I'm not accusing. I'm just asking the
No,
question.
no, he has been very positive. He has been very positive. He even tweeted positivity, so it's all good.
Who would have thought? But look, to be fair, as you say, it's a positive time to be a Spurs fan. You know, the club's going really well in the league. We're playing great
Yep.
football. We're making moves in the transfer market quickly and decisively, and with precision, it seems as well. So, not too much to complain about in regards to how we're going. So, let's just, I think, keeping the positivity is very, very important. You can see that transmitting in the ground, can't you? The stadium is such a positive place to be at, and it's so much fun at the moment to be at the Tottenham. Even when this is the key, even when we're losing games, and even when things aren't going our way, you can see the difference between this season and last season in terms of like when we're not getting results, how the fans are reacting this season compared to last season. It's a massive difference, isn't it?
Well, to add to this as well, you look at this time last season, Porro and Danjuma wasn't even heard of. Porro, we were going through everything. We missed out on Porro for Manchester United, Manchester City away and the North London derby. Whereas right now, 2 players are in, 3 are out, and these 2 will be available for Manchester United and the FA Cup game. 2 years ago, we had Kulusevski and Bentancur miss a Carabao Cup semi-final and a league game against Chelsea. So 2 key players are in. Whilst this time last year, we were waiting for the Porro deal to the T's and the I's to cross the dot. Danjuma wasn't even a thing. So just fast track a year in January. What can you say? It's night and day.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, everyone was saying at the beginning of the season, you know, wait till they start to slip in results and see how they react. And look how we reacted. We've reacted positively, and we've now turned it around. We're back on form again. All right, let's get into this match preview then with Man United. We do go to Old Trafford on Sunday, a 4:30 kickoff against Man United. And it's not going to be an easy game. Whatever kind of state Man United are in, we always seem to have a very tough ride there, don't we, Brian? It's always seemed to be a game where we have some sort of mental block at Old Trafford, it seems. I know we have had a few decent results in recent times, not most notably a 6-1 Old Trafford, and obviously Lucas Moura getting us a win there with the brace, and we won 3-0. But it seems to be a game that whatever form we're on and whatever form Man United are on, we seem to really be struggling. We struggle up at Old Trafford, and we always seem to have a bit of a mental block. Look at these are the last 5 games against Man United. We'll bring that up. You can see here that 3-2 loss Old Trafford. That was when Ronaldo scored a hat-trick. Last season at Old Trafford, we lost 2-0, and that was a game we went into it in decent form, and Man United was struggling, and we still got turned over. So what is it about us at Man United? Do you reckon it's just a mental block against a team who we know is a big club and it's a big stadium? We just seem to always struggle when we go there, or is it just a consequence of the quality of teams going there sometimes?
I honestly think this has become a mentality, or used to think that recently it's been a mentality thing. You go to Old Trafford, that huge stadium with the huge illustrious history. I think we've gone in there and our head's not been in the right place. We know the last couple of years the team haven't been right off the pitch as well as on the pitch, whereas now they're just bursting with confidence, bursting with pride, bursting with enthusiasm. They're ready to fight. And I think this year is different. I really, really do. Comfortably going to be different. We'll get there when we do predictions. But you do go to Old Trafford, and it is a stadium steeped in history. It may be falling down, and we all know what's going on with them and their owners. I think it's a mentality thing. But I think our mentality is probably as strong and together as it ever has been in recent history.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely going to be a bit of a buzz for Tottenham, you know, with the new signings coming into the frame and maybe giving us some new energy. Because as Postecoglou said in recent weeks, you know, we have been looking a bit tired, a bit leggy. We definitely saw that in the Burnley game as well. We weren't at our sharpest or our best in that game. So hopefully the new signings will give us new energy, and obviously players returning from injury should give us a major boost as well. And it won't only give the fans a boost, I think it'll give the players and the team a bit of a boost as well going into Sunday. But looking at the form of both teams going into this game, I think our form in general, last 5 games, was it four wins and a loss in our last 5 games. Man United, 2 wins, 2 losses and a draw. I think probably our form on paper is arguably better than how we've been playing. I think our performances maybe have left a lot to be desired. You can see scored in the last 5. We scored 10. Man United only scored 6. Conceded, we're level 6 each. But look, their home form, to be fair, they've won 3 of their last 5. In our away form, we've only won 2 of our last 5. So we haven't been doing great away from home. And you cast your mind back to their last home game. It was a very impressive 3-2 victory over Aston Villa when Villa were 2-0 up. So, definitely can't take anything for granted when going to Old Trafford. Albeit the game before that, they lost 3-0 at home to Bournemouth. So they've been very Jekyll and Hyde the whole season, Man United, haven't they? But it's hard to know what kind of Man United are going to turn up. They've just been so inconsistent, haven't they, Brian?
They have, and I'll tell you one thing. Obviously, what happened with Villa also happened with Brentford, didn't it? When they were 1-0 down, or happened with Nottingham Forest earlier in the season when I was back. If it 2-0 advantage at Old Trafford is nothing, because if they get 1 goal, that crowd just roars them on and gets so noisy and so boisterous that they just have that energy there. We all know about Fergie time from the past. We can't. Our concentration is vital. We have to stay switched on. We have to make sure if we do go 2-0 up, it's like, right, okay, don't switch off. Your composure, your concentration is vital. And I think some of these teams have switched off and allowed that 1 goal, and then it's just opened Pandora's box at Old Trafford. We know throughout that, and this is again going back to the mentality of going to there. They have a history of these kind of decisions going their way. Fergie time from back in the day. And how they get these things going their way at Old Trafford. So I think if we go there with the right concentration, the right mentality, that should see us through. And like you said, for them having the buzz of having Ratcliffe there, you're going to see 2 new players with new energy for us. Potentially certain players back from injury. The bench is starting to take shape. Beforehand as well, our bench has been next to non-existent. It's just been people on there. I think this time last year we had about 3 youth products on the bench that had absolutely no chance of getting on the pitch, whereas now that everything's starting to take shape, isn't it? The bench is looking better. That front line is going to have some new energy. The starting 11 is going to have some new energy. We've got an incredible Vicario in goal compared to what we had last season there. So everything is looking rosy for us. We've just got to make sure our concentration stays for 90 minutes.
Yeah, looking at the bookies odds, it's quite interesting. It's very tight. Man United are slight favourites going into this game, 23-20 for them to win. Spurs are 21-10. They're quite. They are slight favourites, but it's not like massive in terms of the odds between Spurs and Man United. Spurs closer to like 2-1. Maybe it's a case of just our away form against the big sides. We've picked up some good results. Away draws at City and an away draw at Arsenal, but we haven't seemed to be picking up too many big wins away from home just yet. Obviously, we haven't been to Anfield just yet. Who else is in the top 6? We haven't been to Newcastle yet. Away from home, Chelsea we haven't played Chelsea away. Brighton we lost. West Ham away we haven't played yet. Villa away we haven't played yet. So we haven't had that big statement away win yet, have we, this season? So maybe that goes into the thinking of Man United being slight favourites going into it. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really tough game. And as you say, I think if we can quieten the crowd, hopefully early on, and not let our standards drop like maybe Aston Villa did in that second half, where I thought they were atrocious in that second half. Villa, they kind of allowed Man United back in that game, and once Man United got a foothold in it and the crowd were behind them, it was very hard to turn around that momentum. The one bad thing going into this game, you can look at it 2 ways, but it's probably negative, is Man United do have a lot of returning players going into this game. So Lisandro Martinez, Luke Shaw, Casemiro, all returning into the frame in this game. So very frustrating, the timing for Tottenham, because maybe a week ago you'd probably be playing a lot more of a depleted Man United team. But on the flip side, what I would say about that is I always feel like when you chuck in a lot of players who have been injured together, if they're all lacking match fitness, a lot of the times you can struggle. You can think it's a good thing. Oh, we got all these players back, but then you chuck them all in at the same time, and all of a sudden, by the 60th minute, you got a lot of players who are struggling to complete the 90 minutes because they've all been struggling with match fitness. So you can look at it two ways. But what kind of boost will it be for Man United to have these players back in the lineup?
I think it will be soon, but like you said, you've literally just taken what I was going to say about chucking in so many players coming back from injury could be a concern. And then you think about it, Shaw could be back and Martinez could be back. Well, you're going to get tested with pure pace down that line, and if you're coming back from an injury, the last thing you want, the defenders hate pace running at them anyway. So coming back from an injury, are you going to be able to keep up with these guys? Like Brennan Johnson, for instance, running down at those two will give me nightmares if I've just come back from an injury. So the fact that it's two defenders that could be back as well is, for me, is a positive for us and a huge negative for them.
Yeah, the worrying thing in terms of the tactical setup of both teams is I think Man United, how Man United set up, is probably quite good for them in terms of how to counteract our play. They like to have Rashford and Garnacho, in the wide areas where we're probably most vulnerable. They do like to play more a transitional game, which if they do get right, there's definitely space to hit us on the counter. And I know they haven't been defending so well. I do think Spurs will dominate possession and have control of the game at the beginning, but with Man United do play to their potential with their aggressive nature, play in the transition, hit us with the likes of Rashford and Garnacho on the counter with the likes of Bruno, so supplying them with through balls and Højlund being able to hold up the play with his strength as well. I do, especially with Romero and Van de Ven and Dragusin either coming back from injury or being very new to the team. Is there a potential of them catching us on a good day for them? Just because, maybe if it was a week later, Romero had a bit longer in training and Van de Ven had a few more minutes in his legs and Dragusin had a week with the team, maybe we would be coming into this game a bit more ready. But because of the timing of the game, does the timing suit Man United more or Tottenham, do you think?
Do you know what? This is where when it comes to that's a hard question to answer. But what I will say with this is, as you were saying with them on the break and Rashford and Garnacho on the wing, this is where I think destiny has become so vital. We saw against Bournemouth the amount of ground he was covering to get across and cover the centre-backs and assist Porro on that side. I think is going to be a pivotal role. I actually think Ange made that part of his game. That if a team like United were playing, make sure you're tucking in to cover the centre-backs should we be exposed. And I think it's a huge, huge game for destiny. A huge game for destiny. And the way he performed, and he did it brilliantly against Bournemouth, absolutely magnificently. I think that's what we're going to be asking to do again. It's whether he can keep up the brilliant form that he has.
Yeah, and I think it's important as well for Destiny to help out Van de Ven when possible because we know he's just returning from his injury. We don't want him to be put under as much. Look, obviously he's going to have to cover the ground. He's going to have to put the work in, but if Destiny can help him out as much as possible in these early weeks to just ease him into the team rather than leaving him by himself, which I know at the beginning of the season he could do and he could handle it perfectly well. I'm just worried about overworking Van de Ven early on and then him redoing his hamstring straight away, and that's what is concerning me. So he's going to have to help Van de Ven, I think, in these early games before he's like getting that match fitness up and he's fully ready to handle things by himself. But with those two, with that pace that those two have, I do believe we should have enough recovery pace to handle Man United on the breakaway if they're on top of their game. And if it is Dragusin going to be starting, and I do think he's got the aggression and the strength to deal with Højlund, especially if they're going to go direct. I think Dragusin will really relish that challenge.
Yeah, I think we need to add someone else into this. I think it's a big game, and I've got no doubts that it will stand up and deliver. Is Bentancur to offer that support to them too and that protection. His timing and anticipation is second to none. So I think it's a big game for him. And you're right, we are going to have to make sure that Destiny can protect them should they get behind. And obviously, you've got that layer of protection with Bentancur in there. And I think this will be one of the first times that Bentancur and Van der Ven, I think, start a game together, won't it? I know Bentancur came on against Crystal Palace and played, but I think it's the first time they will actually start a game together, which will
Yep.
be good to see. So that, I mean, when you think about Van der Ven, Bentancur and Dragusin and Romero, the three of them now getting that's a nice little triangle to have, isn't it?
100%, and I can't wait to see how those three complement each other. I'm sure they will. Talking about a potential debut in Werner, we're expecting him to see him on the left. Obviously, we're thinking he's going to be up against Diego Dallo, but it could be Wan-Bissaka as well. It's going to be interesting. I don't think Werner is one of those players who likes to get to the byline and like do cutbacks and things like that and go on the outside, especially when he's on the left. I definitely see him as a player who likes to cut inside, get shots off, link with the play that way. So it's going to be interesting to see how he adapts to how we play, because I feel like Ange is going to ask him to stay a bit wider than he's used to, and it might take a bit of adapting. But as well, if he does get the opportunity to run in behind and use that pace, we saw, didn't we, against Burnley, how often we were going for that long ball over the top to Johnson on that left-hand side. It happened, and he was running in behind. It happened time and time again with the likes of Porro, and I think it was Bentancur feeding him. And if Werner's taking that role, I think Werner could make use of those chances a lot more than Johnson did when he was getting in behind.
Well, I completely agree. But the other thing I think that Werner offers to Johnson in different ways is, I think if we're attacking down the right, I think you'll see Werner in a much more dangerous position for the defence than you would see Johnson if Werner was going down there. So I can see if a cross comes in for Johnson, like we've done with Richarlison for a couple of goals, and Richarlison isn't able to get on the end of it, I've got more confidence that Timo Werner will be there ready to gobble it up, as opposed to the other way round. If it was Werner crossing it in and Richarlison missed it, because I think Brennan Johnson is preferring to stay wide at the moment. So I think Werner offers more of, obviously, a finishing threat to United than Johnson. I think Werner could be heavily involved on Sunday.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think it's important as well to kind of get on Bruno's bad side, wind him up a bit, get him to turn all petulant like he does and frustrate him. And if we do that, that's when I feel like Bruno starts to get frustrated, and he gets bitch and moan. He starts to get yellow cards and gives away fouls as well, which is why it's a bit of a shame Lo Celso is out, because I feel like he would be pretty good at that. He likes a bit of a shithousery, Lo Celso. So I reckon he would have got on the wrong side of Bruno, but hopefully someone can step into that role and try and wind him up a bit, because he's always likely to implode a bit, Bruno, when you get on his wrong side. But look, that is the preview. What is your prediction then on Sunday? How do you think the game will go? Are you confident of a victory?
Well, if you're asking me if I'm confident, do you want me to give you my score prediction?
Yeah, go on.
All right, so you tell me if you think I'm confident or not. I'm going 4-1 Tottenham.
4-1? You think it will be a battering?
4-1. I think it'll be a battering. I really do. I really do.
What makes you so confident we're going to go there and win?
I've just got a feeling that the United fans are all going to be pumped up and cheery that Ratcliffe's there and the Glazers are on their way out, and it's going to be a carnival atmosphere. Ange will just say to them, go out and spoil it for them. And they will. And they will. I'm so convinced this is going to be, I think it's going to be a very, very... You can have a 4-1 where it's back and forth and whatever, and I think this is going to be such a convincing victory. I really do. Listen, you've got me on the positive... This January... The club's got me on the positivity train, and I go from one extreme to the other. And now I'm on the. I literally think this is the mentality will be right, the players will be right. I think Werner's going to be heavily involved. I think Johnson's going to have a 4-1 Tottenham. 4-1.
For me, I'm not going to be pessimistic, but for me, if it was a week later, literally a week later, I think Tottenham would win this game. But I just think the timing is just off for us. I think if Romero had more time and Van der Ven had more time and Dragusin had more time in the back going into this game, I think we would have a much better job of keeping United quiet. I just feel like they're catching us at the right time, just with defenders only just coming back, not having too much match fitness. Dragusin has only had one training session with the team. So whoever starts a centre-back, I can see having a bit of a struggle at times, I reckon, on Sunday. I feel like Man United are going to be pumped with, the new ownership and all that kind of stuff, and players come back from injury, and that home advantage as well could be crucial. So I'm going to go 2-2. I don't think we'll lose, but I'm going to go 2-2. I think we are going to struggle to contain them. But I do think that fresh energy we're going to have will allow us to be sharp and will get us in good positions. And I think Werner will be able to stretch Man United as well, which will help us find space. I just feel like they're catching us at a good time. They'll hit us in transition, and I can see our defenders struggling with Man United's pace. I can at times. And so I am going to go 2-2 in this game. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you see this game going? What your score predictions are? Are we right in how we're analysing how the game is going to go? Or I want to know what your thoughts are. We have got a super chat here before we get into predicted lineup. Jeff Ramos says, start Dragusin 90 minutes, 45 minutes for Van de Ven and 45 minutes for Kuti. I wouldn't like a worse injury on our centre-backs that take them out another month. Is there a good case for giving Romero and Van de Ven half each?
Well, it depends. I mean, the way you got to look at it is Van de Ven, we would assume, is fitter. He's been in training a little bit longer, but doesn't have the game time.
He was on the bench, wasn't he, again on Friday?
Yeah. And then you look at Romero, who has been playing recently, but is the most recent injury out of him and Van de Ven. I would heavily go with Van de Ven for a little bit longer than 45. See what you can do. But if he's struggling, obviously you make the change immediately. But if Romero is available to get some minutes in his legs, it would be a definite option to rotate with Van de Ven, or again with Dragusin and have the pair of them on. But because there's Emerson as well. But I don't think they'll both get 45. I can't see it being a 45-minute 40. I get it, but I don't see Ange doing that.
We got some more quotes from Ange from his press conference that we'll go through before we get into predicted lineup. Ange on why Timo Werner was signed. He said, we knew that Sonny was going away for such a period of time. We felt like we needed another player in the final third, maybe based off the fact that the performance on Friday against Burnley probably convinced him even more. He said, and while centre-back was a priority, and if an opportunity came, we wanted to move fairly quickly. Again, I had a good chat with Johan about Timo, and he would be a really good fit for us stylistically. He certainly has the kind of attributes we look for. A player in that space. He can play in all three positions, so that's some real depth and quality for us in the front third. And again, after I had a chat with him, he's really motivated. He really likes the opportunity Tottenham can have him in terms of where he's at in his career, and I think it's something that can add to us in the group. About Dragusin as well, he said certainly he has some great attributes as a young player, and from my chats with him as a person, he's come in with the right motivations about why he wants to take us to the next step and why Tottenham is the right club for him. I think he'll fit in really well with the group at the moment. Quite a few of them are in the same sort of age bracket, and part of that is hopefully we can build a team together that grows together, and I'm sure he'll be a really good fit for that. And that's really important, isn't it? Having a team that's growing together, a young team as well, and that will be really great for the future, won't it? Just seeing this team grow from young players who are trying to find their way to a group of players who have been playing together for a while, and that's kind of what happened with Pochettino, isn't it? A young team that grew together.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it again when you were talking about Werner. And again, I mentioned before about Dragusin with Lange. You mentioned Lange with Werner, and you look at it, Villa apparently were in for him this window as well, weren't they? So it looks like Lange has done his homework for Villa, and then obviously come here. And like you said again as well, I agree. I think after the Burnley performance, we realised that we do need someone in there, and maybe Lange is having a lot more of an impact than I certainly thought right now on transfers, but it's great things to hear, and it's good to hear Ange having these conversations with them. Ange is having a way with the words, isn't he? I think he could turn anyone to become a Spurs player. Anyone just give him 5 minutes, and they'll become a Spurs player, because everyone seems to just adore what this man has to say.
Absolutely. Talking about getting business done early as well. He said, I think I spoke about it here, about if we could do things early from our perspective. It's easier said than done, because while we might have a desire to do things early, you've got to have all parties agreeing to that, clubs and players, and it's not easy to do, especially in January. The key thing for was from the chairman to Johan and his team and Scott. We were all very aligned in what we wanted, and we got our targets early, so it wasn't a matter of chasing down too many things. It was pretty clear what we wanted to do, and if it didn't happen, then we move on. But I think the fact that we were all pretty aligned on what our objectives were allowed us to be sitting down here and now with 2 players in. Not so much for Sunday, but we know we've got a 2-week break, which means we've got at least a couple of weeks to get the lads up to speed. And then hopefully by then we got some of the injured lads back, and a couple of weeks later we get the international lads back. Hopefully that means we're in a good shape because we've brought the lads in early. Interesting to say not so much for Sunday. Do you reckon he's implying maybe they won't start? Or maybe he's implying they won't be ready for Sunday?
I think we're seeing mind games. I really do. I reckon we've seen so many different things with Ange this season. You always assume Mourinho or a Conte or these big managers, Fergie, Wenger, all of these playing these games. I think we're seeing the first signs of Ange playing mind games. I really think he's adding that to it. You just don't know what he's gonna say and what he's gonna do. The unpredictability is what is wonderful. And yeah, I think he's playing mind games.
And one other thing, talking about Dragoson's best qualities, he said, we've been working on the centre-back position pretty much since the summer window closed, and there's been a whole list of players we worked through methodically. A lot of that work has been done by the scouting department, and Johan came in, and Rob McKenzie and the team started working into further detail. They presented it to me probably 6 weeks ago. From that onwards, Radu was always on the radar as one of the players we thought would be a good option for us. Then it was about getting as much information on him as a player and a person. We spoke to as many people about him as possible and had him scouted again, and I've been following him since we highlighted him. In my mind, once we got down to the real detail, I thought he was the best option for us. Before the window opened, we made the decision that Radu would be our number 1 priority. I like his defensive attributes, his physical attributes. I think he's still got a lot of growth as well, a lot of improvement in him. He's only 21, only had 1 year in Serie A, and not even a full year, and he fits the profile of the kind of player we want here. So interesting words there on Radu.
Yeah, I mean, what we've got to take from it as well is it just goes to show when he got the data and everything and it was presented to him, the next thing Ange looks at is the character of this man. And I think this has become a huge factor in the people that we're buying under Ange. He sees that strength of character is more than quality. Because you can coach quality, strength of character you can't. And we're picking players that want to come to Spurs to play football, not just want to come and earn a paycheck. Lange and McKenzie seem to be getting things done, don't they? They really. It looks like they're being listened to. And when we bought Werner, I think you and me spoke behind the scenes, Simeon, or when we were on the phone, and literally said that if Dragoson had come in first and then Werner, if we'd done this the other way around, I think the talk about Werner is nowhere near as split or divided as it has been. But what we've got to take from it as well is they said Radu Dragoson was the number 1 target. He may not have been the first person in, but he was the number 1 target. Porro was the number 1 target, and it took 31 days. When did he actually officially sign? Yesterday it was announced. It took 10 days. It took 10 days to get, which is a cosmic change to where it's been. And the number 1 target has been landed. So take it out what you will.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you, and it definitely shows a change of strategy. Usually our number 1 target, we'll wait to the 31st of January to make our move and to try and get the deal done, and then we'll have that mentality of, if we can't get it done in deadline day, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But we didn't have that strategy this time. We went early. We had a number 1 target, and we really went for it. And we've got him through the door and in time, hopefully, to play on Sunday as well. So that would be really positive. All right.
Yep.
let's get into our predicted lineup. And first, we're going to look at the current state of play when it comes to the injuries and suspensions and players unavailable. And as you can see here, Ange has confirmed in his press conference that Ben Davies will be out for a month at least. Lo Celso has also been added to the injury table with a hamstring injury, and he could be out for a similar time frame. He said that Romero has returned to training, but the weekend could be too soon for him. But he didn't completely rule him out. And obviously there are long-term injuries with Perisic, Veliz, and Manor Solomon still remaining long-term injuries. Although he did say that Maddison is in training, but training away from the group still, not back in full training, which is a positive step. And Pat Matisar, Heung-min Son and Yves Bissouma are all away on international duty, playing in the AFCON and the Asia Cup respectively as well. So not going to be back at least till the beginning of February. All right. Predicted lineup time, Brian. Let's start with the goalkeeper. There is only one man to pick here. Who could it be? Vicario, obviously, is going to be in goal. I do suspect he's going to have a big, important role to play with how Man United play. And I do think his sweeping as well is going to be quite crucial with how Man United would like to hit us on the counter-attack. I'm not going to be surprised if they try a lot of balls over the top, a lot of passes in behind. And if Vicario can sweep as much as possible, that will really help just preventing Man United building some sort of headway in the game.
Yeah, I mean, this is literally the first name on the team sheet. But I mean, in general, this guy has just been stellar, hasn't he? He is in a league of their own, or his own, shall I say? And there's the easiest decision we ever have had to do at any point, and you and Ben will do all season, is no doubt who will always be number one. This man is just a cut above.
Absolutely. Next up, we are going to go with Pedro Porro on the right-hand side. Been so consistent this season, and he's been a breath of fresh air as a right-back, one of the best right-backs in the Premier League so far. And I think, obviously, the last game we played, he scored the winner against Burnley, cracking strike. Hopefully we see more of that as the season goes on. But I think his passing as well is going to be crucial, because we're going to have the likes of Werner and Brennan Johnson looking to find that space in behind. And without Maddison there, and even without Lo Celso there now, I'm looking at the team and it's like, who really has that passing range and that vision to find him? And I think Porro is probably our best bet, to be honest.
He is. And I'll tell you what, one thing I've got yet to see with Werner is how good is he at breaking the offside trap? Because if we can get him doing it, we've got a man in Porro that will be able to find him time and time again. He has been, for me, I said it, the most improved player at the club. He is vital. I was watching, I think it was the transfer talk thing on Sky Sports today, when they were talking about players coming in and how things have turned around, and saying this guy is becoming as influential, like Trent Alexander is to Liverpool, and how those two right backs are way ahead of the pack when it comes to anyone else. And in that kind of thing, obviously you've got Kyle Walker that offers you something different for City. He's instrumental. He's, especially with the lack of Maddison and his creativity, I think it could be a big game for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a very, very big game for Pedro Porro. On the right-hand side of the centre-backs, we are going to go for Radu Dragusin, just off the back of the fact that Romero, Ange is claiming that the weekend might come too soon for Romero, and he's only had one training session with the team. I mean, there is a chance Romero does come in and Ange is playing mind games, but the fact that Dragusin is ready to play and he's fit, and he's only had one training session as well, just tipped the scales for me off the back of, if Romero had a bit longer, I would have gone for him. But the fact he's only had one training session, I think Dragusin's probably the best bet right now, and he's going to be thrown into the deep end. But it'll be interesting to see how he responds.
Yeah, I'm with you, but I actually think Emerson stood more of a chance of getting the first team nod over Romero. I think we've got to make sure only for the first team, not saying he's better or anything, just because of Romero's fitness. I think he won't risk Van der Ven and Romero. So if he wasn't going to play Dragusin, I really thought it would have been Emerson. But yeah, happy to see Dragusin. And obviously he has been playing every minute for Genoa. He has been playing well for them, full of confidence, got his move, and expect him definitely to start.
Next up, we're going to go with Mickey van der Ven for his long-awaited return. We're going to go with him to start. Obviously, he was on the bench for the game against Burnley. Hasn't started a game or seen any minutes in any game since the Chelsea game back in October, also November, early November. So it'd be really brilliant to have him back in the team. It was interesting to hear him in an interview earlier in the week. He was asked about whether he's going to play, and he said, I'm back in the squad. It'll be good to get some minutes against Man United. I don't know if he was playing his cards close to his chest, but I think seeing that he was on the bench, he's had a whole week now training with the team. I think he has to come back into the team. I think he has to start.
100%. And do you know what? When you get to Old Trafford and when everyone's watching it around the world and sees his name in the team sheet, the team himself will feel a lot more confident. But for us, it's massive. I can't believe, the impact this man has had, and just how well he is adapted to the Premier League. He came in with just 1 or 2 training sessions against Brentford. I fully expect him to start and carry on the form that he did. I cannot wait to see him back in the starting 11.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird with all the kind of positive news going into it. Romero back, potentially Dragonson in, Werner in. The fact that Van der Ven, our best centre back, such an important player for us, is returning. It's kind of gone under the radar about how positive that is. Yep. It's kind of like old news that he's going to be starting again, and that's probably, you could argue that's the most positive thing of the lot, having Van der Ven back in the centre back. Yep. So can't wait for him. Left back Destiny Udogie is going to retain his place, of course. Obviously, Ryan Sessegnon is now an option there, but obviously he's just returned from injury. I don't see him getting a start anytime soon, but he is there as our backup left back. Destiny's going to have a very important role because Garnacho is in fine form, and Destiny's going to have a lot of ground to cover if Garnacho's getting in behind him and taking him on. But let's hope Destiny gives him more to think about going the other way than Garnacho does attacking Spurs.
Yeah, this guy, he's got the stamina and just durability. His energy levels just surprise me every single time. Just when I think he can't surprise me anymore, he does. And I think out of the back four, he's going to have the biggest game or the biggest challenge and the biggest role to play. Obviously, covering and helping Van der Ven back. Then, obviously, like he did against Bournemouth, covering the if they break the trap to get there. I think a very, very important game for him. I just hope he doesn't do what he's done recently and picks up a silly yellow card that he has the tendency to do, which is the one little thing that I think puts that he's got to work on. But I expect a stellar performance from him.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, in the number 6 position, we are going to stick with Rodrigo Bentancur. I thought had a really strong showing against Burnley on Friday night. I thought he looked a bit rusty when he came back into the team against Bournemouth, although still had some good moments. Obviously, was involved in our opening goal in that game. But I thought he was really looking a lot sharper against Burnley. He played some really lovely first-time passes into the front three and was really setting us on attacks. Was able to play 80 minutes in that game. So based off the fact he's had 60, he's then had 80. So I'm assuming after another 9 days of training, he should be all right for 90 minutes in this game. I think he's going to be basically. It's going to be on him to win the midfield battle. I really think that. I think he's going to be the one we're going to be relying on. It's going to be really tough with Bruno, Casemiro potentially being back as well. McTominay has been in decent form this season for Man United. But if we're going to win that midfield battle, he's going to have the biggest say, I reckon.
Yeah, and like I said, I think he's going to be captain again, isn't he? He'll give another captain's performance. He like I said, protecting Van der Ven, and obviously he can run the midfield by his own. And I can't really say much more than you said. I think he gets the whole 90 minutes, and he's going to be integral to that midfield battle.
Yeah, 100%. I'm really looking forward to seeing back in the team, and hopefully at his fully best for 90 minutes now. On the right, then first number 8, we are going to go Ollie Skip. He has been the player who has been preferred by Postecoglou so far since we've lost Maté Sarr. Obviously, the other option is Højbjerg. You could argue is he's probably a better player right now, I have to agree. But just on the fact that he has been choosing Skip, and even against Burnley, he didn't take Skip off until very late on. He wasn't the first player to take off. So I think he's going to give Skip another opportunity. He definitely needs to have a massive improvement in this game, and it's another opportunity for him to show what he can do. But I've been definitely underwhelmed in his past couple of starts. So need to do better from Skippy. But I think he will start.
Yeah, I was certainly underwhelmed with him at Burnley. To tell you the truth, like I said, I saw him have that long misplaced pass where he well over hit it, and then I can't remember anything till he got substituted. He's going to need to have an impact. If he doesn't, I expect we'll see Højbjerg a lot sooner in the second half, and then he can have an impact in that way. But yeah, we definitely need something better from Ollie Skip.
Yeah, needs to play a bit more confidence and just a bit more quality. I feel like he's playing within himself a bit at the moment, Ollie Skip. Maybe he knows what a big opportunity it is right now in the team, and he's struggling to cope with that. Sometimes when the pressure's off, he performs better. But look, big opportunity for Ollie Skip in a big game. Let's hope he improves. In the left centre midfield, in the number 10, we are going to go with Dejan Kulusevski. Obviously, Lo Celso is out, so he's unavailable for this game. James Maddison is still a bit of a way off returning, so obviously there's only one option left in this role. It is going to be Kulusevski, and he's got a very important role to play. He's been playing really well in this number 10 position of late, and I see him getting some joy in this one. In between the lines, taking on the likes of McTominay and Casemiro. I'm sure he's going to be up for the battle. So yeah, big opportunity again for Kulusevski to nail down that number 10 spot.
Yeah, I really like seeing him there. I've really enjoyed watching him there. I think he's played his best football there this season. Like I said, it could be a big game for him if he can get in the mix with McTominay, and he could be the one that winds up Fernandes very easily. His work rate is exceptional. We are going to need people like Casemiro that have got a very good work rate as well. Big game for him, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing him play there. And obviously, he's going to have a new outlet on the left to see if there's a relationship there to build on.
100%. That's a really good point. On the right-hand side, we're going to go with Brennan Johnson. Back on his favoured right-hand side. I didn't think he was particularly great against Burnley when he started on the left. I do think his best performances have come off the right, and he's going to have potentially up against Luke Shaw, who's returning from injury, so maybe it'll be really good to test him early on and have a really good go at Luke Shaw early on in this game, and see test his legs, see how match fit he is. And I think he can go a long way of really stretching Man United, getting in behind them and causing them problems.
Yeah, I am a fan of Johnson. I think he really is going to become good. And this time next year, we're talking about him in a lot more positivity and having a much bigger influence on the team. But with this game, I think he's just lacking that bit of confidence. And if something can just go right for him, whether it's a decent goal, a tap in, whatever it may be, it will set him off for the second half of the season. And I think he gets that on Sunday. I think I think he's on the score sheet on Sunday, and I think this will be the start of the Brennan Johnson we bought and we saw at the end of Forest last season.
You think he's on the score sheet on Sunday? I hope you're right about that.
I think both wingers are.
Well, you heard it here first. Up front, obviously, we are going to go with Richarlison. Has been in good form, but didn't have his best game against Burnley. Had a couple of opportunities where he kind of fluffed his lines a bit, and then for the goal, even just before we scored, he kind of fluffed another opportunity. But he's going to have the likes of Varane and Lisandro Martinez to combat with. He's going to have a big challenge up to get any joy out of them. If Lisandro Martinez is going to start, we know he's like very much a front-footed defender, and he likes to step, like a bit like Romero, likes to step in front of the attackers and cut off the supply at source. So I think Richarlison is going to have to be strong. He's going to have to make it stick when it gets fired at him, and he's going to have to bring other players into play. That's one of his weaker points of his game, but I think in this one, those are going to be things he's going to have to focus on if he's going to get joy in this game.
I've actually been impressed with Richarlison's hold-up play last couple of games, but listen, one thing he keeps doing is snatching at shots. A couple of gaps for 2 games in a row. He's like against Bournemouth and against Burnley, same position where he's dragged his shot wide when he was clear through in the second half. But I have been impressed with his work rate and his hold-up play, and you got to look at that. You want to talk about some shouts, or even look at Richarlison Martinez. If there's anyone that's going to wind anyone up, I think that's a key battle. And as you said, if he can get his hold-up play right and use the pace of Johnson and Werner, this could be big problems for Manchester United. Big problems. And I think Richarlison has a good game, and I think his hold-up play will be commended by the end of it.
Yeah, and hopefully, he should be getting supply from both wings now, not only on the right-hand side on this one, which hopefully can lead to him getting more chances. And without further ado, on the left-hand side, we are going to give a debut to Timo Werner. I think that's what we've brought him in to, give us that pace and that front-footed nature while Sonny's out. It'll be interesting to see when Sonny is back, how we play him. Do we put him up centrally and put Sonny back on the left, or do we keep him on the left and maybe Son up front? But that's a story for 6 weeks' time. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he adapts to the system under Ange Postecoglou. For me, I don't think his best position is on the left. I do think it's central, but I think for now he is going to make do on the left, and I hope he has a confident start. I think most of his good work is going to be running in behind and getting in on goal and stretching Man United. But hopefully, when he's on the ball, he can really take on their fullback and cause them problems. But I do see a lot of his good work coming when he's trying to run in behind and off the ball.
Well, the other way I see it with Werner, and it gives us this option as well, Sim, if Richarlison isn't having the best of games, you could put him on the left and put Werner on the centre. So we've got that fluidity where we can mix it up and change it about. And I can see that happening at some point. I think Spurs could do that to keep mixing up United, and they're not knowing who's where. I think you could see Werner play some of this game up front. But on the left, I'm expecting to see, hopefully we can try and use his pace straight away and get him on the ball as soon as possible to see what he's got. But I think, would you say now, with Son out, Werner would also be the penalty taker?
That is a good point. I didn't even think about that. I think it's either him or Porro, I would say, because Porro, I knew, took a few for Sporting and was quite good at them. But Werner obviously did take them for Leipzig when he was their number one striker. I remember him even scoring one at the Tottenham Stadium, if you remember, for Leipzig in the Champions League. I'm looking at the team. I can't see any other option. Maybe Richarlison. I think he took some penalties for Everton, but I wouldn't trust him on a penalty, to be honest. So, I think
Werner would.
Yeah, I think Werner's quite good at penalties, to be honest. So I think that's a great shout. I think Werner could maybe come straight in and be a penalty taker. But look, let's run through the team one more time. So Vicario in goal, Porro, Dragusin, Van der Ven and Udogie, Bentancur, Skip and Kulusevski in among the midfield, with Brennan Johnson, Timo Werner supporting Richarlison in the front line. Brian is going for 4-1 to Tottenham. I'm going for 2-2 in this one. Very interesting lineup. It'll be interesting to see if he does go with that or what I'm very intrigued to see the lineup Ange does actually go with on Sunday. I think it's one of those ones where it's hard to predict what he's actually going to go with. But that is it for the predicted lineup as that, and that is it for today's preview stream. I want to thank Brian Daigle yet again for his time on the streams and giving his opinions. And if you want to see more of Brian Daigle, do check out Tottenham on Tour. The link is in the title of this video, so you go click the link. It'll take you directly to Tottenham on Tour, and go give him a subscribe. He goes live every morning at the moment, giving you daily Tottenham content, giving his opinion. So go check him out. Brian, you want to let anyone know what's coming up on Tottenham on Tour?
Yeah, literally, we've got a few things coming up. Like I said, Monday to Friday is Cockerel Doodle Do every morning 9 o'clock UK time. Me and 3 guests. Day after a game, it's Anger Management with me and Johnny, where we do our own post-match analysis. And now we've got Rez on board as well. So Rez has been doing little throwing updates and also a great video where he takes apart Rory Jennings, which is always a good watch. So go check that out.
I think everyone's been wanting to do that for a long time, so big up to Reds. All right, guys, look, we'll see you on Sunday for the watch long. Barnaby and Marlon will be here hosting. I'll be up at Old Trafford getting you all the footage from the ground and all the footage of Werner and Dragson's debut, so it's going to be very, very exciting. I can't wait for Sunday. It's going to be a very, very important game. But we'll see you all very soon. Appreciate everyone for tuning in and all the comments, all the likes, the super chats, and everyone interacting with the show. And we'll see you all on Sunday. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.